Satnam Aloha. And happy full moon today. It's in the shadow of distraction, the 56th hexagram. And this is an opportunity to let go of all that distracts you from your soul's evolution. It's like you're on a highway and those distractions take you from where you need to go. So you want to get back on the highway, stay on the highway. So this full moon should show you where you're most distracted. Okay? But today I want to talk about the karmic axis. And this is big news. So it's changing signs from Sagittarius, Gemini to Scorpio, Taurus. So a lot of Western astrologers out there on YouTube, they're talking all about this. So you can go check them out. So I want to specifically look at the shadow pattern that we're leaving behind and the gift that we're embracing and where we can stumble in that process. So remember the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, right? The mandala. They're associated with a particular zodiac sign. So there's 6 hexagrams or archetypes or shadow patterns associated with each zodiac sign. So this means we can really zone in with this system. So as I say often in my videos, the most important work you can do right now is to balance the shadow and the light within each one of us. And secondly, right, the second most important is do your inner child work, right? Because they go hand in hand, this emotional work, inner child work, and shadow work. So what we see out in the external world is just a mirror to what's happening deep within the unconscious of humanity. So those shadow patterns or ancient fears are lifting from the very bottom of the unconscious mind, and then they get projected out onto the external and they get played out so that we can see them. So really it's a group effort, right? It's a group effort. It's a team effort because each one of us contributes to that group shadow projected out in the world. We don't want to hear that. Shadow doesn't want to hear it. Ego doesn't want to hear it, but it's the truth, right? Each one of us is contributing to that group shadow projected out in the world that we see. So this is the illusion, right? The collective dream we all find ourselves in right now. So not all is hopeless or doom and gloom. You have power. You have much power as an individual to shift this collective dream. You do. You haven't been taught that, but it's the truth. So that's what this karmic axis shift, right? This is what's showing up right now. So the North Node is where we need to go as a humanity in terms of our evolution. And the South Node is the tail, what's weakening, becoming weak, and what we need to leave behind. So the North Node is in the gift of authenticity. And the South Node is in the shadow of compromise. So that's the 814 hexagrams. And this is happening January 18th. This is a big deal. January 18th to March 15th. Okay? So this, I'll talk about the other patterns it's going to go through, right? This is an 18-month process. But let's dive deep here. Let's go a little bit deeper with the gift of authenticity, where our soul wants us to go as a humanity, and what we need to leave behind, the shadow of compromise. So shadow of compromise is the 14. And you may say, well, that doesn't sound like a shadow to me, Michael, right? Compromise is really healthy. It's just what you have to do in a relationship to get along in this world. One person gives in a bit, and the other one gives in a little bit, and then there's harmony and there's peace, right? That's how we do it as a humanity. Well, there's power. There's power in words, and it's how we create. We're magical creative beings. It's our true nature. And our language has been hijacked over the years. And this means that the true meaning of words has been distorted. And it's happening even right now, right? The shadow consciousness is changing the true meaning of words to suit their agenda. This political correctness, you can see it. changing the way that we communicate, what we can or can't say. It's happening in real time right now. So let's look at this word compromise and how it got distorted. Because, right, this is the shadow that we're leaving behind. Well, the definition, I got a quick modern dictionary definition, and it's a way of reaching agreement in which each person or group gives up something that was wanted in order to end an argument or dispute. So similar words are accommodation, concession, give and take, negotiation. Those words sound very innocuous, don't they? Well, this definition is really better suited for the word cooperation. So to cooperate is to give and take, and to negotiate, and to make concessions. And to compromise is to give a part of the self, the big S self, to give up a part of your soul. That's what compromise means. So to cooperate is to give up a part of the self, the little S ego. So an example is, okay, you're really excited about going on vacation. And then your friend calls you a day before, the night before, and they're in an accident and they're bedridden and there's no one around really to help support them to heal. Well, to cooperate would be to put your vacation aside and be there for your friend. The ego wants to go on vacation. The soul wants to serve your friend. So this action or choice doesn't take away from your identity or your power, right? So to compromise is to make a choice that goes against your core values, what you know to be right in your heart. To compromise is to betray your big S self, your authenticity. That's yourself, the big S self. So what these compromises do, they cause you to weaken, right? They build up one compromise at a time, and they weaken your power. So imagine your power is water, and it's contained in a bucket of water. And each compromise you make creates a hole in that bucket over and over and over, these little compromises, until water or power starts leaking from you, until there's no water or power left. Right? And this totally affects your perception of the world, your intelligence. It affects everything when you lose power. So this is the trickery and the deception right there in our human language. And shadow leaders know, right? Shadow leaders, false leaders, they know how to manipulate language. It's quite something to watch them in action. And it's all about suiting their own selfish needs. So just compromise. You hear that? Well, just compromise. Compromise. What's the big deal? Compromise or you lose your job. Compromise or you can't go here. There's another word we can explore here, right? Is selfish, right? It's selfish. Maybe in another video, I'll explore that word selfish because we hear that thrown around a lot too. So what's the big deal? Take one for the team. Right? You're being selfish if you don't. So these are the words thrown around, the spells, right? The spells, word spells. So they throw around this word compromise like it's a small and meaningless thing. And in truth, it's a really big deal for each one of us in terms of our spiritual journey. It's the polarity, right? The things that seem really big in the spiritual world are quite small, and the things that seem really small are really big in the spiritual journey. So these times that we're in right now, they're filled with spiritual traps, right? You're like a fly, right? That the spider in the web wants to draw you in and trap you. So we're being called to let go of the shadow of compromise. And only you know how this shadow plays out for you. Right? Where in your life do you make these kinds of compromises? They can be little tiny compromises, but you feel it in your gut. So it's an ancient fear, right? This compromise. And it's the fear that you're not good enough, right? That you're not enough on your own. That you can't believe in yourself. to handle life. You can't handle life. So you give your power over to somebody else to take control of it. Or that to survive, you must make compromises and give up parts of your soul. So this North Node, that's the South Node to let go of. And they're a tag team, these two. The North Node points to authenticity. This is so huge for the Aquarian age, is authenticity. And we're in a battle for our authenticity. The collective is threatening to swallow up our uniqueness into one blob of homogenized blahness, boring blahness, like the Borg, all the same, no creativity, no diversity, no unique expressions of the divine. So when we lose our authenticity, we lose our power. When we make compromises in the way that I described, we lose our authenticity. So your authenticity is your naturalness. You don't have to think about it. It's just something you were born with. It's there, right? It's there. It's here now. And it'll be there when you die. So this authenticity has been under attack since you were born. But the attack's gotten stronger and stronger, especially in this last 7-year cycle, right? From 2020 to 2027. Because we've all been conditioned to be someone that we're not, so that we can be good little slaves in the shadow system. So this is one of the top 5 regrets of the dying. I wasn't myself. I wasn't myself in this lifetime, and I never really let anyone see my authentic self. So the fear of this hexagram, the 8th hexagram, is the fear of what other people may think of me. Fear of not fitting in to that homogenized blah of blahness that we see out there. Fear of not fitting into that. So to be authentic is to be vulnerable. And the 8th hexagram comes off the throat chakra. And it's how you express yourself. Words again. Words. So when the larynx dropped for humanity, that was then that we could actually formulate words and communicate with one another, not just grunt at one another and beat each other with a club, although some people try to do that now, but to truly communicate with words. That was a complete game changer for us as a humanity when that larynx dropped. So our authenticity comes through the honesty of our words. And words are carried in a blanket of frequency. You can feel when somebody's being authentic. Especially now, we're surrounded by so much fakeness and artificiality. And when you see authenticity, it stops you in your tracks. It really does. I always notice authenticity out in the world. It's like a splash of color, right, in the grayness of the world. Whatever form it takes, right? Because it's a reminder. It's a little wink of the eye from the divine, right? Just saying, remember who you are and look how beautiful you are when you're in your authentic self. Have you ever had that experience? It's always a surprise to me. It never ceases to surprise me, but it gives me so much joy and hope for humanity when I really see someone being themselves. So this is what we're embracing during this time period, our authenticity, your authenticity. And you have everything that you need inside you. Remember that. You just have to be you. You have to love you, the you within you. This is your power. So people not living as their true self, and there's many out there, will be triggered by your authenticity. Why? Because it brings out their shadow, brings out the shadow of others when they're not living as themselves and they refuse to awaken. People are making their choices right now as we come closer to 2027. So they're just showing you that they're not for you. People that don't love you, for you, they're not worth your time or your energy or your attention. Right? It's better to be hated for being yourself rather than loved for being your not self, right? So don't take it personally, right? You have the right. You have the divine right to be you. You have the divine duty to be you in this lifetime, because there's only one you. There's 7 billion people and growing, but there's only one you. Otherwise, you deprive the world of your uniqueness. You deprive the world of your unique point of view, right? Each one of us sees different things out in the world. This is what I talk about in the recorded readings, so that you can be your authentic self. So look at life through your own eyes. Don't look at yourself through other people's eyes. That's where you get into trouble, and you start doubting yourself and trying to fit in and mold into some image that you think somebody wants, right? This is how you compromise your soul. So you always want to be looking through your own eyes, not someone else's eyes. Because this is a betrayal of the self. When you compromise your soul in this way, self-betrayal. So you want to be self-referenced, big S self-reference, not outer reference, right? Who do I need to be now? Or what do I want to do now? Right? What does that person want from me now? That's outer referenced. You're like a banana spine, a yo-yo. You want to be acting from yourself, big S self, and making choices from yourself, speaking from yourself. And then you let your character shine from your authenticity. Our character is being revealed right now. Our character is being molded right now by life. So character is like, sometimes people don't have the spiritual strength, or they lack, right? They lack the spiritual strength to build their character. It's only in times of stress and pressure that we really get to see someone's true character. And that's what wants to emerge from you during this time, your character, to really experience how strong you are in this lifetime. Maybe the only lifetime you're going to experience this. So let life pressure you so that true character can come forward. So it's really time to trust yourself, the big S self. This is the God part of you that lives inside you. And it's time to love yourself as much as the divine God loves you. We're here to learn about unconditional love, for ourselves first, and then with one another. So we're really starting off this real new year in a beautiful way. Remember, January 1st was not the new year. It's just words. There's no energy behind it. So speaking of which, the new year on January 22nd, 2022, it's when the sun moves around the mandala all the way back to the star codon, the 41st hexagram. So there's going to be a special group meditation this Saturday, 1:30 p.m., all free, Pacific Standard Time. So if you're on my newsletter, you'll get the Zoom link. And if not, then scoot over and sign up for my free newsletter. Links below. In my newsletter, there's no soupy sales. There's no spamming. I'm just letting you know when I upload a video and when I launch new recorded readings or webinars, that sort of thing. So the newsletter only goes out once a week. So thank you to everyone for sticking to the very end, even though we're in the shadow of distraction. So I just want to mention my recorded readings. They show you what you need to cultivate, right, for your uniqueness. So for instance, what food you need to eat, the environment you need to be in, how your brain works, what you're supposed to see out in the world. Not everybody's the same. This is about your uniqueness and how to make your decisions all based on your human design chart. So it's still $25 off. So order yours today. It's over 1.5 hours long. And also my mother and father wound webinars, 2 separate webinars. You get both of them for $99, over 16 hours of content with meditations. So if you know you need to do some healing work and forgiveness work with your earthly mother and father, then definitely check that out. Okay, so please leave your comments, and thank you to everyone who's donated or purchased one of my products. I really appreciate it. It keeps me going on the material plane and for inspiration too. And thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. You can follow me on Telegram, Instagram, Odysee, or Facebook. And I'll see you next video, or better yet, on Saturday for the group meditation. And it will be recorded if you can't make it. So be sure that you're on my newsletter list. Okay. Satnam Aloha.